This is a podcast by the Straits Times.
Hi, I'm the Straits Times sports correspondent David Lee, and this is Sports Talk. We are months away from the Olympics and the anticipation is starting to build. Along with my colleagues Rohit Brijnath, Kimberly Quek and Mark Chong, I'll be there to report on all the action that takes place in Paris, especially those featuring our Team Singapore athletes. And that of course includes the Singapore women's 4x100 meters medley relay team of Quah Ting Wen, Quah Jing Wen, Letitia Sim and Levenia Sim. In this episode, I caught up with the quartet at a recent media day organised by Singapore Aquatics. Hi ladies, welcome to Sports Talk. Let's start by going back to that moment when history was made, February 18, the final day of the World Aquatics Championships where you clocked 4 minutes, 2.88 seconds to finish 9th overall. That also meant that you became Singapore's first relay team to qualify for the Olympics. So Ting, did you know that you had qualified for the Olympics when you were done with the relay heats? What were your first thoughts?
I think in that very moment when we were still on deck, looking at our time, I want to say our initial reaction was disappointment because we were so this close to coming in top 8 and getting a second swim in the final, but unfortunately we missed it out by a little bit, and that was kind of like the first thought that came to our head. We were just disappointed, like we were that close to being in a final at such a high stage. We didn't really find out until after when like the coaches came in and Lionel was like, I think you guys are like 15th or 16th, and like it wasn't really confirmed. So the feelings could, like, my sister and I took a while to process it, like even hours after or like just a day after, like we didn't really have that solid happy feeling, and it only really hit us a couple of days after, I think. But yeah, that was my initial reaction, I guess.
And Letitia, how long did it take for all of that to sink in?
For me, it took like a little bit longer. I think it was the fact of like confusion. It was like a little bit of like a state of like confusion for me because not blaming it on the coaches, but I don't think that there was like this communication level of like what the time was that we needed to get. And it was a lot of different rules leading into that day that I heard through a lot of different people that could have helped us qualify for the Olympics. And I think I was just super confused on what the actual rule was and what the actual timing was to get into the Olympics. So when I saw our time, I didn't really know what it meant, like what the significance of it was, and like whether or not that we qualified until like the coaches actually like said something. Again, I also think there was like a bit of a disappointment because just of like the split from my leg of the race wasn't as fast as I needed it to be. And knowing that we have been faster before, knowing that we could have qualified for top 8 and we could have, gotten a chance to swim in finals again was a little bit more of like the downside of the race. But I think overall we honestly gave it our best for that day. And I don't think I could have changed anything to gone a little bit faster at that point of time. But now just working forward to see what I can like improve. Yeah.
Ting, when did the process to aim towards qualification for this event begin? How did this combination come about?
As a team, I think we started talking, vocalizing it last year during one of our training camps in the beginning of 2023. But this whole idea of getting relays to the Olympics, it started way before. I had conversations with Sonia. She is part of the SAQ managing team right now, but she used to be a coach on deck a lot more, and she used to talk about her dream of getting more kids onto the Olympic team through relays. And we had a good shot, I think, in 2019 getting our 4x200 freestyle relay, but we missed it out by one spot. We were 17th by 0.06, so that was pretty hard. And when Brad, our national head coach, started talking about relays again last year, for me, I've been on the team for a very long time, and maybe this sounds bad, but there are times where I get a little bit cynical or jaded. I just feel like sometimes if I try and get my hopes up again and again, the disappointment after is always a little bit hard to deal with. And so when we started the conversations again about getting a relay to Paris, I try not to get my hopes up too much, just because, I've been there before where we were so close to getting a relay to Tokyo and it didn't happen, and it was hard, right? So this whole year, I think it was Asian Games. The breakthrough came through at Asian Games where, along with the disappointment of the qualification, I got pulled aside by the coaches after, and they told us the significance of the timing that we had gone. And I think at that point it had put us 12th in the world, and they were doing the calculations and telling us that, we had actually had a very good shot of making Paris. And I mean, at that time it was a little bit difficult to process just because of all the disappointment with the disqualification. But I think moving forward towards Doha, that became almost like a sole focus. Like, it was like the North Star of, like, during training, just thinking about like what I was doing it for and what my main focus was at Doha. So yeah.
Levenia, you're the new addition to the team. What is the strength of this quartet? What makes you girls tick?
I think we're very versatile, especially with, I don't have a lot of experience swimming internationally, and I feel like these other three girls do. And I think they have really helped me throughout this process and kind of brought me in to the team and made me more comfortable. So I feel like being the youngest and not really having a lot of experience with all this high-level swimming, they have really helped me throughout my life.
Letitia, does the fact that you're two pairs of sisters help you in terms of communication? Why or why not?
Yeah, I think it does make a huge difference for me. The bond between all four of us is very different when I would compete with the girls back in my university. It's more of a friendship type of thing. Oh, it's your teammate. But these all four of us extend beyond a teammate. We're actually family. We're all very connected with each other, and we've been training together for a super long time. So when the thought of the relay started to come up, and we're wow, two pairs of sisters, that's very, very unheard of before. I don't know if it's the first one done, but it's very, very unheard of. I thought it was super special to kind of have that. It was honestly super motivating because we would be helping one another to achieve our goals, right? So if one of us helped qualify for the whole relay, all of us got to go together, and we will get to experience the whole Olympic journey together.
So Jing, does the fact that you are siblings help in terms of feedback, or are you actually more careful when pointing out certain issues that you should be working on?
Actually, I think it does because we are siblings, it's almost like there's no filter. My sister can tell me anything that she thinks is wrong without having to sugarcoat it, and that's how I like to receive my criticism, because if I can be better and something that I can change to be better, I want to hear it straight up. I don't want you to say, oh, maybe you can do this. No, just tell me, do this, and I think it would be a lot better. And honestly, I'll just take it at face value and I'll try it out. And honestly, I think that's how it should be with your teammates, because that's how I feel it would work best, with just teamwork, I guess. But maybe some people can't take it that way. So I think being sisters or being family, it really does help.
Does it make it easier that it's a sister giving you the straight talk rather than someone else?
I would say, yeah, I think it does, because she's blood, so I know and I can trust that she'll always want the best for me. Even though if I might think it's wrong, I believe that she thinks it's the best thing that I can do to change, in a sense. So she always has my best interest at heart. So yeah, that's something I can trust 100%. Yeah.
And Ting, you have been to the Olympics with your brother Zheng Wen twice.
Yes.
But this will be your first with your sister Jing Wen. So what does this mean to both of you?
I don't know if Ting has mentioned this a lot, but I think growing up, in a swimming family, Zhen and I, he's a boy, I'm a girl, so we're different already in that sense, right? But I feel I don't know if Ting would talk about this, but there was a lot of comparisons to me. I think growing up, people would ask her, do you want to be like your siblings? Are you going to swim? Will you go to the Olympics? And we've never really spoken about it, but I don't know it. And I don't know if it affected her a lot, but I know on my end, I would try to shield her from such comments, or hope that she wouldn't, feel the comparison as much, because as much as we're family, we are very different swimmers, and we've both been on very different journeys. And I know it's always been her dream to go to the Olympics. And the fact that, I'm still swimming and I get to experience that with her, it's special for me, because I think I've really watched her grow into her own, over the last 4, 5, 6 years. go off to college, swim, in an American college, live on her own, and now make her first Olympic team. So I'm glad that I'm still around and able to still race alongside her and be on the same relay as her. So yeah, it's special.
Yeah, like my sister said, she's growing up and having two amazing siblings, achieved so much in swimming. I could always tell when people ask, like, oh, so when did your sister go to Olympics? And I'll be like, 2008 when she was 16. And then they'll be like, when did your brother go? And I was like, 2012 when he was 16. And then I would always just have that image, or I would just think that they'll be thinking, why haven't I gone when I was 16? Or why haven't I gone at all when my siblings have gone for more than one? That was just something I guess I put on myself. I think my sister said it herself, like both of them did such a good job in just helping me grow as a swimmer and teaching me that I am my own person and I don't need to be compared to them. Like I'm on my own journey, and that really helped me through my process of through swimming and trying to make a name for myself. It was hard to be called like, oh, so you're the third Quah, or like your Ting Wen sister or Zhong Wen sister. But I did take that as sort of like a motivator to get better and be not just someone's sister, but known for my own name. Yeah.
And this is for you, Letitia and Levenia. You girls were brought up in the United States by Singaporean parents, and y'all had a choice to make whether to represent Singapore or not. How easy or difficult was it to make that decision, and what do you think of that decision now looking back?
Yeah. I definitely thought it was like a hard decision, just knowing that I didn't know if this was like the right choice, if like swimming for Singapore was like the right choice, or what that would entail for me. Kind of like in the future, just thinking about like my future. But overall, I think when it came to making the decision, and it took a lot of like convincing from like Sonia and a lot of the other coaches, just because of like the whole switch from a new environment. I'm very, very comfortable, and I'm very, very grateful for this stuff in like the US, but coming here to Singapore, it's a whole different lifestyle, a whole different culture from what I have experienced by myself in the US. So yeah, I'm just like now that I'm here, I'm honestly don't think I would be able to have the same opportunities that I've had in the US, just because of like the level of competition. But some people would like consider this like taking like the easy route of like having having like another citizenship. But I honestly think this just opens a lot more doors that I would have never experienced. And now when I talk to like my other teammates in the US about it, it almost feels like they're a little not jealous in like a bad term, but they just like wish they also got to like, have the same opportunities as me. And so I just feel really grateful for overall and just being able to swim and represent Singapore.
For me, it took a lot of convincing with Sonia. I was in contact with Sonia at the same time they reached out with Letitia. And I was pretty young. I was like 13, I think. And so when I was 13, the thought of like moving across the country and like kind of leaving my life back at home where I was so used to and comfortable was kind of scary to me. And so I kind of just waited it out, and Letitia joined Singapore, and I saw how great she was doing and how much fun she was having at all these international meets, and how she was working with her coach was going very, very well. So that kind of also persuaded me to come over and train. But I think the ultimate factor for me was having so many opportunities that I feel like I wouldn't have swimming in the US. So, yeah.
And Ting, did you feel the qualification for the Olympics was in some ways a redemption for the Asian Games disqualification? I'm sure there were tears in Hangzhou at the Asian Games, but were there also tears in Doha at the World Championships when you realized that you are qualified for the Olympics? And now that qualification for the Olympics is achieved, what's next for you girls? What do you hope to do in Paris?
In a way, yes, I think it is a sort of redemption. I think it doesn't take away what happened in Asian Games. If I look back on that, if you ask me honestly if I could change anything, yeah, I would still go back and change like whatever I did that day. But I do feel like we have moved past that, and now we're in 2024, we are looking forward, and I suppose that was kind of like a huge learning curve, steep learning curve, and Tears, yes. I actually was pretty upset. I think, Tsing mentioned it earlier, like, in that moment, I wasn't just thinking about Paris, right? We were still at the World Championships. That's still a very big meet for us, and it's still a very big deal. And I think when we are in the zone and racing in that moment, like, we are at Worlds, we are racing at Worlds, and our goal was to try and make the finals. So I was pretty upset. I mean, I looked at our time and like I compared it to the time that we did at Hangzhou, and it's like the whole like, oh, if I had done this time like here, then we'll be in finals for sure. So I think the disappointment just kind of came from like, what if, or like could have been kind of feeling. And it was only later on that we found out that we had most likely made Paris. And I think there were tears of relief, but it was only after the processing. I think on the day itself, it was still more disappointment that, we were at the World Championships and we had a shot at making the finals and we missed it by a little bit. But I think that just kind of goes to show, like, we want to be so much more than just, like, one of our coaches said, like, just more than a number there. You just want to go there and participate, right? And I think moving forward to Paris, I think that would be the goal for five of us, I mean, like, including Johnny, and hopefully more people come on board, but to go to Paris and swim more than just the heats. We want to try and push it, see how many semifinals and finals we can get into, and hoping our relay, every swim that we have is an opportunity to do something. So, yeah.
Is it realistic, or what gives you the belief that you girls can take the national record to under 4 minutes and make an Olympic final? What do y'all need to do to get there?
I think a lot of trust. For the relay to come together, you need all 4 swimmers to be at their best, swim their fastest, and everything needs to be close to perfect, if you want to go as fast as you can. But because of the trust, you're only swimming 1 out of 4 legs. You just have to go in there and do your best and really trust that your teammates are also going to be in the same headspace, and we're all chasing that same goal. And once you do your part of that quarter, the rest is out of your hands. And honestly, yeah, you just have to trust the rest of the team that they understand and have the same goal. And I do trust them because we have that trust as a relay team. So yeah, I do believe that it's very feasible for us to go under 4 minutes. I mean, we've never really talked about that number, but yeah, I think swimming being a time-based sport, we're always looking at those milestones like under 2 minutes, under 1 minute. And I guess ours would be under 4 minutes because we are at that line of 4 minutes. So breaking that barrier is a very feasible option. Yeah.
Okay, for those of you who do not know much about these swimming sisters, let's do something quirky. Maybe for each of you, can you describe the role the person on your right plays in this relay team and share with us something that many may not know about her?
I have Letitia sitting on my right. She is our breaststroke leg, so she swims the second leg of the relay, going off of her sister. I'm not sure like what people know or don't know about Letitia, but something I learned about her 2 weeks ago is that she's actually a huge fan of concerts, right? She's very excited for Taylor Swift, which she's going for on Saturday. But I also learned that she likes going to concerts in general because she likes the vibe. She likes the energy of the people there. She likes the excitement and the noise and the lights. And yeah, when I heard that, I thought it was kind of cute just because, in swimming, it gets quite monotonous sometimes, right? It gets pretty boring. So I think anytime there's something a little bit different, we really enjoy that. And I learned that Letitia's, one of her things that she enjoys is concerts in general. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Letitia, and to my right, I have Jing, and she swims the fly leg. So I swim breaststroke in, and then I hand it off to her essentially in the race. And I think one thing people don't know about her or should know more about her is she has a very big personality, and she shows it a lot on her social media. So you should go follow her on her TikTok and Instagram. I think it's really fun to see, like, we're in the water a lot and we don't get to interact with as many people when we're like competing or training. And so I think that her personality is one of like the big things that stands out about her. And she's super bubbly. She has a lot of great, energy and positive energy. And she's also really super hard worker inside the water and outside of the water. And so, yeah.
So I'm Jing. I have Levenia on my right. She swims the backstroke leg on the relay. And when you initially asked the question of like what role they play in the relay, originally thinking like, oh, actually, like Levenia's like the baby of the team. Like she's the honorary like under 20 years old. And I think that's something that people tend to forget, because when I talk to Levenia, like she's most of the time like very mature, and like we have back and forth conversations, and I forget that I'm a solid 6 or 7 years older than Levenia sometimes. 6 years, yeah. And I think it just shows that how mature she is, and like I don't know, I think that's very interesting as a 17-year-old. Like she's going through a lot right now as an athlete and as a person like moving across the country and swimming for a country at such big stages in swimming. And I think that's very respectable. Like people don't understand how stressful that is, and yeah, I think she deserves all the respect.
So on my right, I have Ting Wen, and she swims the freestyle leg. So I just learned like a few seconds ago that she went to the Olympics when she was 16. I did not know that. I knew she went when she was young, but I didn't know she was 16. So I think that she's kind of in the same place I am in right now. So that kind of gives me like a little bit of relief that she's already been through it and she like survived and everything was fine. So yeah.
And there you have it, our history-making Olympic swimming relay sisters. Thanks for joining us on Sports Talk, and all the best.